The central marketplace of Port Epsilon was never quiet. Vendors shouted prices in a dozen alien languages. Metal footsteps echoed over steel floors as traders rushed from one deal to another. Bright neon lights flickered above, advertising everything, from fresh food to dangerous weapons. Somewhere in that chaos, Captain Arden sat alone at a small corner table, sipping the cheapest synth coffee the station sold. He looked tired. Not the kind of tired that came from missing sleep, the deeper kind, the kind that came from years of carrying a ship and crew on his shoulders while the debts kept getting bigger. The Wayfarer was a good ship, but she was old, and her engine repairs had eaten almost every last credit. One more bad month, and Arden would have to sell her. Or worse, hand her over to the creditors. He stared into his cup, thinking about the crew jocks, the mechanic, who still believed Arden could pull them through. Mara, the navigator, who had started sending out quiet job applications to other captains. And Rel, the youngest, who didn't yet understand how close they were to losing everything. That was when he appeared. The alien was tall, thin, and dressed far better than anyone who would willingly step into this part of the marketplace. His long coat shimmered with faint shifting colors, and his eyes a bright silver. Scanned the crowd before settling on Arden. Without asking, the alien sat down at the table. "Captain Arden," the alien said in smooth, practiced common tongue, "I have a business offer for you." Arden raised an eyebrow. "Do I know you?" "No," the alien replied, smiling politely, "but I know you. Your ship is fast, discreet, and available." Arden gave a small laugh. "Available is one way to put it. What's the job?" The alien leaned forward. "Cargo run. Simple. Pick up on Gamoran asteroid. Deliver to a private port in the outer ring. No questions asked." "No questions asked," Arden repeated. That phrase always made his gut tighten. "What's the catch?" 72 hours, the alien said. "That is the delivery window. And the payment." He slid a small data chip across the table. Arden's wrist screen blinked as the offer appeared. His eyes widened. That's triple what a normal run would pay." "Correct," the alien said, still smiling. "Enough to solve your financial difficulties. I imagine you could use such a sum?" Arden leaned back, thinking. "What's the cargo?" "Sealed containers," the alien replied. "You do not open them. You do not scan them. You simply deliver." Every warning bell in Arden's head went off.
Smuggling.
Possibly dangerous smuggling. But the numbers on the offer kept shining in front of his eyes like a beacon. With that money, he could pay off the shipyard, repair the Wayfarer, and give the crew more than instant noodles for the first time in months. The alien pulled out. A long, glowing contract was written in mixed galactic trade standard and several clauses in languages Arden didn't even recognize. "All terms are standard," the alien said. Arden began scrolling through the contract. It was long, very long. Page after page of legal phrases, most of which meant nothing to him. But the payout was real, already secured in a neutral bank. Account, set to transfer the moment the job was confirmed as complete. Mara's voice echoed in his mind. "You always read the fine print, Captain. That's how you stay alive." But Arden didn't have time to spend hours going through alien legal texts. Every instinct told him to walk away. Every debt told him. "To sign? Why me?" Arden asked at last. "There are 100 captains here who could take a cargo run." The alien's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Because, Captain, you are desperate enough to say yes." That stung because it was true. Arden picked up the stylus. He was about to sign when movement in the corner of his vision caught his attention. Across the busy walkway, half hidden behind a pillar, a shadowy figure watched them. The figure wore a tattered hood, but Arden could see the faint glint of metal implants on their face. As soon as they noticed his gaze, they stepped forward, shaking their heads slowly, almost like a warning. Arden hesitated. The alien cleared his throat. "Is there a problem, Captain?" "No," Arden said quickly, though the uneasy feeling in his gut grew stronger. He signed the contract with a quick flourish, the stylus glowing faintly as it confirmed his biometric mark. Alien stood smoothly, pocketing the contract. Pickup is tomorrow at dawn cycle. Docking instructions are on your console. Be punctual, Captain. The client is very particular about time. As the alien disappeared into the crowd, Arden glanced back toward the hooded figure. They were closer now, just a few meters away, standing in the shifting light of the marketplace. The hood shifted enough for Arden to see part of their face scarred with a faint red glow where one eye should have been. Their voice was low and rough. Another fool just signed their death. Before Arden could ask anything, the figure melted back into the crowd. Vanishing between stalls of alien food vendors and scrap dealers, Arden sat there for a moment, the contract still burning in his mind. He told himself it was just a scare. Tactic, just a jealous rival trying to spook him. But deep down, some part of him knew. This deal was not going to be as simple as it looked. Cargo with secrets the next day. The Wayfarer floated quietly at Dock 17. The crew had mixed feelings about the new job. Mara stood at the navigation console, arms crossed. Yo. Didn't tell us who the client is. Ordone adjusted his captain's jacket, avoiding her eyes. We don't need to know. We pick up. We drop off. We get paid. That's it. Jocks, the mechanic, popped his head out from an open maintenance hatch, his hands covered in engine grease. Jobs that come with that much money and that little information, they're never good, Captain. Rel, the youngest of the crew, didn't seem worried. If the pay's real, I say we go for it. It's about time we caught a lucky break. Arden didn't answer. The hooded figure's words from yesterday still echoed in his head. Another fool just signed their death. But he pushed the thought away. They needed this. By the time station dawn cycle hit, the docking bay doors opened. A small hover transport rolled up the ramp of the Wayfarer. The cargo was loaded quickly, 5 large metal containers, black and unmarked. Each one was sealed with a locking mechanism Arden had never seen before. The alien delivery team barely spoke. They moved with military precision, setting the containers in the cargo bay, locking them down, and leaving without so much as a handshake. When Arden walked into the cargo bay afterward, Mara was already there, running a handheld scanner over the nearest container. He frowned. You're not supposed to scan it. Mara didn't look up. I wasn't going to open it. Just wanted to see if it's dangerous. And she lowered the scanner slowly. That's the thing. It's not giving me anything. The signal's being blocked. It's like the cargo isn't even here. Jock stepped into the bay, wiping his hands on a rag. That's not right. Even shielded containers give off some kind of signature. Rel tilted his head. It'd be people. Everyone went quiet. Arden's jaw tightened. No, we're not thinking like that. We take the job, we deliver, and we get paid. End of story. But Mara's voice was flat. You do realize that if it's living cargo, there are galactic laws about this. Not the kind you can bribe your way out of. Arden looked at her, then at the containers. For a moment he thought he heard something, a faint, rhythmic sound, almost like breathing. But when he leaned closer, there was only silence. They departed Port Epsilon on schedule, the Wayfarer gliding into open space. The first leg of the journey was uneventful, stars drifting past the viewport in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. But it didn't stay quiet for long. 6 hours into the run, the proximity alarm blared. Mara's fingers danced over the nav controls. We've got a tail. One ship, closing fast. Arden moved to the comms panel. Unknown vessel. This is the Wayfarer. You're on a private shipping route. State your voice crackled over. The speakers, low and urgent, turned back Wayfarer. Dump the cargo. You have no idea what you're carrying. It wasn't a threat, it was a warning. Arden's stomach twisted. Identify yourself. No answer. The ship on their tail suddenly banked away, disappearing into a debris field before they could track it. Jocks muttered, That was weird. Mara gave Arden a hard look. Captain, more than one person is warning us to dump this cargo. Maybe we should listen. But Arden's mind was locked on the payment. The payment that could save them all. We keep going. End of discussion. That night cycled, the ship felt wrong. The air seemed heavier, The hum of the engine somehow quieter. Rel couldn't sleep. He wandered into the cargo bay just to check on the containers. He froze. One of the container locks, the strange alien mechanism, was glowing faint. Red. And there was definitely a sound now. Slow, steady thump from inside. Like a heartbeat. Rel stood frozen in the dim cargo bay. His eyes locked on the faint red glow from the container's lock. The thumping sound was steady now. Too steady. Too alive. He reached for the intercom but stopped halfway. He called the captain. He'd have to explain why he was here after lights out. Instead, he leaned closer, pressing his ear against the cold metal. Thump. Thump. Slow, heavy, measured. Then it stopped. A cold shiver ran down his spine, Rel. He spun. Around. Mara was standing at the doorway, one hand on her hip, the other holding a mug of coffee. "What are you doing down here?" she asked, her eyes narrowing at the glowing lock. "I thought I heard something," he admitted. She stepped forward, her boots echoing softly on the metal floor. "You weren't imagining it. I've been hearing it too. Every time I come down here, it's like the containers are aware of me." Rel swallowed hard. "Do we tell Arden?" Mara sighed. "You've known him long enough to know the answer." The next ship cycle, Mara confronted the captain in the mess hall. "This cargo is wrong, Arden," she said flatly. "Something's inside it, and it's alive." Arden didn't look. Up from his plate, "You're letting your imagination run wild. Shielded cargo is normal. Normal cargo doesn't have a heartbeat," Mara cut in. Arden froze for a fraction of a second before masking it with a shrug. "Our job isn't to know what's inside. It's to deliver it." "That's exactly what's going to get us killed," she snapped. As if on cue, the proximity alarms screamed again. Jox's voice came through the com. "We've got incoming, and it's not the same ship from before." Arden raced to the bridge. On the holodisplay, 3 sleek black ships were closing in fast. No markings, no ID codes, just shadows in the void. "They're locking weapons," Mara reported, her voice tense. "Shields up," Arden barked. Voice broke through the static on open coms. "Wayfarer, hand over the cargo, and you live. Refuse, and you won't have time to regret it." Arden's jaw tightened. Not happening. The Wayfarer jerked violently as laser fire tore across the shields. Jock shouted from engineering, "Shields won't hold if they keep this up." In the cargo bay, the thumping inside the containers grew louder, faster, like whatever was inside could feel the danger. Then came the sound none of them could ignore, a metallic groan, followed by a sharp, ear-splitting crack. One of the container locks had split, a thin wisp of vapor hissing out into the bay. Mara's voice on com was sharp. "Captain, we've got a problem down here." Arden's blood ran cold. "How bad?" The pause before she answered said everything. "The kind you can't put back in the box." "The cargo wakes up." Mara stood in the cargo bay, frozen in place, her eyes locked on the breached container. The hiss of escaping vapor swirled around her boots, cold and strange-smelling. Inside the cracked seam, something shifted. Not a mechanical not a random rattle. It was breathing. She tapped her cum, her voice low and tight. "Rel, get down here now." On the bridge, Arden was still dodging enemy fire. The black ships clung to the Wayfarer like vultures, waiting for an opening. Jox's voice crackled over the cum from engineering. "Captain, power draw is spiking. The cargo bay systems are—" "Wait, what the hell?" Speak, Arden demanded. "The containers, they're pulling power from the ship. It's like they're waking up." In the bay, Rel skidded to a stop beside Mara. What is he didn't finish? From the breach, a hand emerged. If you could call it a hand, it was long, skeletal, and wrapped in pale skin, stretched too tightly over its bones. The fingers ended in sharp, metallic-looking claws. It gripped the edge of the container and scraped deep grooves into the metal. Rel took an involuntary step back. That's not human. The thing pulled itself forward just enough for them to see more. The glint of reflective eyes, deep black with a faint red glow in their center. Mara swallowed hard. Closed the bay doors. Now. They backed away as more cracking sounds echoed through the cargo bay. One by one, the other containers began to groan and shift. Arel's voice was barely above a whisper. "There's more than one," the intercom chimed. Arden's voice came through, tense and urgent. "Status? Cargo bay?" Mara's reply was grim, "Captain. The cargo's alive. And it's not friendly." The ship lurched violently as another blast hit the shields. One of the black ships broke formation, swooping low toward the Wayfarer's underside, aiming for the cargo bay. Arden's mind worked fast. The attackers didn't want to destroy them. They wanted what was inside. Why? On the feed from the bay cameras, he saw it. A tall, gaunt shape stepping fully out of the breached container, its body twitching unnaturally, head tilting toward the sound of gunfire. And then it smiled. A long, inhuman smile filled with teeth that had no business existing outside a nightmare. Arden slammed a fist on the console. "Mara, Rel, lock that thing down." Mara's voice came back sharp. "With what?" It just tore through reinforced alloy. Another container burst open. This time, the creature inside was faster. It dropped to the floor on all fours and began scuttling toward them with terrifying speed. Rel fired his sidearm, the energy. Bolts lit up the bay, but the thing barely flinched. From somewhere above, a deep, guttural voice rolled through the air, not from the ship, not from any cum, but from the creatures themselves. "Hunger?" The word hunger still echoed in Mara's ears as she ran. Rel was right behind her, firing at the creature crawling along the walls like a spider. The energy bolts burned black streaks into the metal, but the thing kept moving. "Toying with us," Rel shouted. Mara's breath came fast. "Not for long. They're hunting." On the bridge, Arden watched the bay cameras go to static. The feeds cut one after another, until only darkness remained. Jox's voice came over Combs, panicked. "Captain, something's in engineering." It just came through the maintenance vents. A scream tore through the channel, followed by heavy static. "Jox." Arden barked into the cum. No response. The Wayfarer's lights flickered. Systems across the ship began to fail, one by one. Life support dropped to emergency mode. Gravity fluctuated, making the floor tilt beneath Arden's feet. The creatures weren't just strong, they were intelligent. Mara and Rel reached the armory. Rel keyed in the override code, and the door hissed open to reveal rows of heavier weapons. Mara grabbed a shock rifle. These should slow them down. Rel loaded a plasma launcher, or blow them apart. They didn't have time to plan. A vent cover crashed to the floor behind them. Two creatures poured out, their black eyes locking on the humans. The fight was fast and brutal. Mara fired the shock rifle. The blast hit the first creature square in the chest, sending arcs of blue electricity dancing across its body. It shrieked a sound that rattled the walls and fell twitching to the floor. The second one didn't stop. It leaped claws, outstretched, aiming for Rel's throat. Rel fired the plasma launcher at point-blank range. The blast filled the armory with light, and the creature slammed into the wall, half its body burned away. For a moment, silence, then footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from the hallway. A new shape appeared in the doorway, taller, broader, and wearing something like armor made from black chitin. Its eyes burned brighter than the others. It spoke. "You are not the first to carry us, but you may be the last." Arden's voice crackled through the cums again. "Mara, Rel, get to the bridge. Now, we're going to dump the cargo. All of it." Mara exchanged a look with Rel. "That thing's not cargo anymore, Captain." She turned back to Ward. The armored creature in the doorway? It smiled, showing rows of jagged teeth. "We were never cargo." The final move, the armored creature stepped forward, claws scraping the metal floor. Its voice was low, almost calm. "You signed the contract. That means you are ours." Mara's grip on the shock rifle tightened. "We didn't know what you were." "That," the creature replied, "is the point." On the bridge, Captain Arden's hands moved fast across the controls. Every warning light flashed red, hull integrity failing, life support nearly gone. If he didn't act now, there would be no ship left to save. Hugh opened the cargo bay doors from the console. Outside, the endless black of space yawned wide. "Mara, Rel, get to the airlock," Arden ordered. "We're venting the bay in 30 seconds. The armored creature's head tilted like it was listening to something far away. Then it smiled wider. "You think space will kill us? We came from the void. It moved fast, too fast." Mara fired, but the blast only slowed it. Rel launched. Another plasma shot, but the thing leaped aside and kept coming. They had seconds left. "Mara," Arden's voice roared through the comms. She saw the emergency release lever by the wall, the manual control for the bay doors. If she pulled it, the decompression would be instant. No time for safety protocols. She looked at Rel. "We won't make the airlock in time." Jaw tightened. "Do it." Mara yanked the lever. The air screamed out of the bay. The armored creature lunged at her, but the vacuum caught it mid-lip, pulling it backwards into the black. For a moment, she thought it was over. Then she saw it. The thing wasn't tumbling in space. It was moving, swimming through the void like a predator in water. It hit the edge of the cargo bay again, claws scraping against the frame, trying. To climb back in, Captain Mara shouted, "It's not gone." Arden's voice came back grim. "Then we burn it." He triggered the emergency thrusters, blasting pure plasma across the bay's opening. The creature shrieked as the fire consumed it, body twisting in the glow. Finally, it let go and drifted into the darkness, burning until nothing remained. The ship was silent again. Systems slowly came back online. On the bridge, Arden slumped in his chair. "That contract," he muttered, "was never about cargo. It was about delivery. Of us." Mara's voice came softly over the comms. "Captain, I think we were supposed to be the shipment." Arden didn't answer. He just stared at the stars ahead and the small, dark shapes moving between them. The void, it seemed, was never empty.